Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Corning Museum of Glass. We're live here in the amphitheater hot shop, world-famous amphitheater hot shop here at Corning Museum. And we are very fortunate to have a couple of guest artists here at the museum for the past several days. And going into next week, we're going to be working with the De La Torre brothers. And Einar and Jamex De La Torre are here. They're collaborating on a project. They've got a great show opening up next week called Collidoscope, and it is a retrospective. It's called a retro-perspective, and it includes many signature pieces from their long and storied careers as collaborators. And they've been working together since the 1980s. And they got into glass making and glass blowing in the 1990s, and they use that as a primary medium in their artwork. So we get to work with them here in the amphitheater. Our team here consists of Tom Ryder. Tom is going to be turning the piece, making a lot of the big moves here for the setup for this piece. And we're going to be making a part of a large sculptural installation that is going to be a mandala form, a big ring, 12 feet in diameter. It's going to be installed here at the Corning Museum of Glass in our Contemporary Art and Design wing this fall. So we're really looking forward to seeing that installed. We're really looking forward to Collidoscope, the De La Torre brothers exhibit that's here at the museum through the summer. And again, it opens next week to the public on Saturday the 18th. So make sure to get your plans together, come out to the museum, make a pilgrimage here to check that show out. There's dozens of pieces, including a really cool piece that toured with Lollapalooza, believe it or not, back in the day. So one of their earlier works, large sculptural pieces, and really enormous installation that's out there in the entryway to the exhibit, very dramatic entryway. So the De La Torre brothers, they're collaborating brothers. I'm going to read their bio here. So Einar and Jamex De La Torre were born in Guadalajara, Mexico, 1963 and 1960. They moved to the United States in 1972, going from a traditional Catholic school to a small California beach town. So a little bit of contrast there. They both attended California State University at Long Beach. Jamex got a BFA in sculpture in 1983, while Einar decided against the utility of an art degree. Currently, the brothers live and work on both sides of the border, the Guadalupe Valley and in Baja California, Mexico, and San Diego, California. The complexities of the immigrant experience and contradiction in bicultural identities, as well as their current life and practice on both sides of the border, inform their narrative and aesthetics. They've been collaborating again. They've been collaborating since the 90s. Both of them had artistic practices prior to that, but then started to focus on collaborative work. And they've developed their own signature style, mixing mixed media work with blown glass sculpture and installation art. Their pieces represent a multifaceted view of life that reflects a complex, humorous aesthetic that could be seen as a multicultural or multi-layered Baroque, or described as that. Their approach is additive, constantly combining material and meaning, influences ranging from religious iconography, German expressionism, while also paying homage to Mexican vernacular arts and pre-Columbian printing as a major part of their repertoire. They have won the USA Artist Fellowship Award, the Louis Comfort Tiffany Award, the Joan Mitchell Foundation Award, and the San Diego Art Prize. They have 18 solo museum exhibitions, completed 8 major public art projects, and have participated in 4 biennales. So why don't we give the De La Torre brothers a nice warm welcome to our hot shop here at the Corning Museum of Glass. And I hope all of you, if you're not here present today or throughout the next couple weeks, get to come and see Collidoscope this summer on your visit to Corning. All right, so we're right into it. And again, we are working on a large-scale piece, so we're lucky to have Tom Ryder here. He's a pretty strong fellow, and he can turn a lot of glass, and this is going to be helpful for this piece that the brothers have in mind. This design is very complex. We have been working all day in the hot shop on parts for this sculpture. As we work with the glass, you know, everything has to be kept over 1,000 degrees the whole time. So we have an oven over here with parts. We have an oven over there with parts. It looks like a black cube. And so there's probably maybe 8 or 10 faces that relate to their cultural heritage and things that fascinated maybe when they were younger. So the luchador mask, so like the Mexican wrestling phenomenon. And these cool masks and creative outfits are very inspiring, and there's a lot of symbolism you can attach to some of the different characters in this kind of epic. And so they have these masks. They're going to be part of another mask that they're creating, and then there's even little masks that go into the eyes. So there's going to be a face that they're building. And if Einar isn't opposed, maybe in just a little bit, he could chat about the piece with you all and just kind of describe what we're going to be working on here and what it's going to be a part of, because it is going to be a part of a major installation that's going to be put in here at the Corning Museum of Glass.
Hello. Does anybody speak Spanish? All right. I'm not. That means I could just. You guys translate for everybody else. All right. We're gonna stay with English. I'm joking, of course. So that bubble right there is going to remain very thick, and all the other parts will be applied to it. It's a great chunk of glass, and the weight of it. It's going to be maybe 30 pounds, maybe more by the time we're done. At the end of the pie where he's holding it, it's like you're holding 60 pounds because you can't actually hold the piece. You have to hold it from the end. And therefore, it just feels much, much heavier. So we're going to make the shape, flatten it out, make the shape, start applying the eyes, and sort of start to make the architecture of the face. And at the very end, we have some pieces put away in that little black box there. And those are going to be the surprises. There's 5 extra characters, so there's a lot of supporting actors in this play. Is there any questions? No questions? Should I ask myself a question? So everybody asks, okay, there's a question there. I think the question is, well, how long will the entire piece take? Well, the problem is that we already started making it. The metal parts, it's going to be metal, it's going to have resin. There's parts that are being made right now at our fabricator in San Diego, California. And we have parts that are being made here. So it's all coming together. If you add it all up, it's weeks and weeks of work. Boom. Oh, my back? Yeah. And so putting everything together will probably happen in November. But I mean, the things have to be shipped from San Diego to here. Some pieces stay here. And we're trying to make sure that everything is more or less fitting. And light panels are coming, lenticular panels are coming. It's a complicated project. Anybody else? So the whole piece is going to be somewhat referential to the sunstone or the Aztec calendar, but in a very loose way. And there's going to be a lot of pieces here that we have made. They're sort of representational of a lot of pieces that we've made in our career. So even though the mid-career retrospective that is upstairs is going to leave at the end of the year, this piece will actually arrive towards the end of the year and still be representationally there forever.
All right, so Einar is going to hop back in so he can be watching the process, guiding, leading the team, because ultimately he's in charge of the whole process. So he's going to jump back in and be in charge. Do you have questions up there? Yeah. Yeah, how heavy is it? That's a great question. Jeff, how heavy is that? He said heavier than he expected. It's maybe 20 pounds of glass? Yeah. So maybe 20 pounds of glass. Now, 20 pounds might not seem particularly heavy. However, it's on the end of a pipe. So if you imagine that you have a shovel and you have 20 pounds on the end of a shovel, it's a little bit like that, where the further away from you it is, the less leverage you have and the heavier it feels. So I think there's a actual formula, something like every foot away from you, it doubles in weight. So probably feels more like 40 pounds. Now you'll also see how that glass is moving around on the end of the pipe. You can see it's so hot and wiggly on the end of the pipe, and that makes it feel much heavier as well, because it requires an immense amount of torque to keep that amount of glass turning on a pipe that's maybe an inch, inch and a half. So it feels way heavier than 20 pounds. So this is actually the point where it will probably feel at its heaviest, but we are going to then continue to put additional components on here. So by the time this is done, it's going to be very big, it's going to be very heavy. But that is what Tom loves doing most. So that's Tom there in the black shirt. He loves moving around really big glass, and that's one of the things that he's so excited about this whole project for, is just that he gets to turn some big stuff. So he will do a lot of the turning throughout the process, but when it's at that hottest moment, that's where it really feels its heaviest. But we have to get it hot there. They were cutting in some constrictions, and those constrictions are areas that A, will separate this glass off of the pipe later on, but B, one of those is, I think, I need to look at the illustration. I think this is maybe going to be maybe like a neck on this face, because it's a big face, right? So I think part of it will maybe end up being a portion of neck, or it could even be part of the mounting for how this will be displayed. But there are these two constrictions, and those constrictions that you see in the bubble, those work a little bit like hinge points, so that the glass really wants to move around there as well. But we have to get it hot so that we can make those small constrictions.
All right. So I'm taking back over from Michael because he gets to have that kind of fun, and I get to have this kind of fun talking to you guys. But what we just did there, it was an advanced move that Michael, I don't think he was ready for it. Maybe not. I do, but I was very honored that Tom asked me to help him with that. So they're just getting that into a specific shape. They're going to flatten it out to make a disc. And because we had the torches going and whatever was going on over here, I couldn't really hear what Einar was saying. But I think he told you he's making a piece for a giant mandala that's going to be 12 feet in diameter. And it's going to be part of an installation that's going to be placed into our contemporary art and design galleries just upstairs here. at the Corning Museum in November. So this fall, this winter. And we're going to make maybe 20 or 25 parts here at the museum. And then they'll get shipped to California. They do different processes on the pieces in their own studios. You know, they'll use enamels and they'll use paint. They'll use all kinds of different parts, epoxy resin. And when you come back here this summer to see their exhibition, you'll get to see the mixed media work that they make. Yeah. She's waxing it. So they're going to flatten out one side. This is a two-sided piece. It's going to be flattened on the back side. And then the front will have just a little bit of a convex curve. And this is how they flatten it out. So Tom's going to bring this gigantic bubble over to the marver. It's got a kiln shelf on it. And they just kind of settle it there. The back side flattens out. And the front puffs up just a little bit. So this is the mask form. So this is the face. Very nice. All right, so one of the most prominent features on one of these masks. Again, this is kind of inspired by pre-Columbian art and sculpture from Mexico. And they're going to put some eyes on this. And the eyes have some contemporary luchador masks inside them. So the eyes are going to be luchador masks. It'll have earrings, plugs in its ears that are luchador masks. It's going to be a really, really elaborate sculpture. And the foundation of it is this gigantic bubble, this gigantic glass bubble. So that's hollow inside. That's hollow inside. The color on it is actually sort of a curry color, but you see it's distorted. It looks kind of orange right now. It'll be kind of this color here when it's all said and done. So now that the bubble is formed, the basis for all of the decorative elements, this is where it starts getting intense. There's going to be some bit working. We've got our team here from the Corning Museum of Glass on hand to help these guys realize this piece. And I'll be helping out with torch and doors as necessary. So it's really important to keep the back end of a piece warm. I mentioned before that if anything drops below 1,000 degrees while we're working, there's a really good chance it's going to break. And since this is going to be the centerpiece to a 12-foot mandala that's going to be in one of the major galleries here at the Corning Museum of Glass, there's a lot riding on the line. We don't want it to break. So we're going to be really careful with it. We're going to keep a torch on the back side. We're going to keep everything over 1,000 degrees while we're working on it. So turning the pipe right now is Michael Beam. Yeah, that's right. Tom is the guy who's been turning thus far. Helen is over by the marver, and Katie Hubbs from our team are all here helping out with the glass. So Katie, Tom, Helen, Michael, myself. My name's Jeff. If you have questions, if you're here in our audience, just raise your hand, shout out, let me know if you have any questions. I know we have some questions online occasionally, so make sure to send those in. We're on YouTube. Are we on Facebook? No. So, oops, I didn't say that. We're on YouTube. TikTok. No. Never mind. I'm not going to talk about any of that. All right. Back to what's happening here. We're online. So even if you go to our website, it will take you to this live stream. But since you're watching it online, you already know that. And for those of you here, Alexis and Brad are here from our digital team, bringing this to you through their expert camera work. I think Jason's here in the mixing booth as well. So, got a great team to present this and make this beautiful work of art happen right here in person, live. And we're all keeping our fingers crossed that it works out and turns out to be as amazing and beautiful as the brothers envision. So Einar is gathering up some glass. He's at the Marver right now. So these guys, Michael and Tom, are keeping the main bubble idle in temperature here at the bench. Einar is working on the eyes. That's going to be the first element. And I mentioned before that we have small luchador masks that they flame worked. And those are going to be the center of these eyes. So they're preparing those to be stuck onto this bubble here, which is the main mask form. So making faces in glass or masks goes back to the earliest forms of glass making. I think one of the oldest pieces we have here is an amulet that is a mask. And I think it's over 3,000 years old. And it was pressed into some kind of mold. Here we go. If you can, maybe you could hone in on the Marver there and see what's happening. So the luchador mask is being swallowed up by the clear glass. And that clear glass, even though it looks orange, is going to create a nice clear optic kind of lens over top of the mask. And that is going to create the eyeball for this. We made one of these yesterday. It had flowers in the eyes. And then they put eyelids over top of the eyes. So it really kind of makes the eyes glassy, obviously. And it won't be orange when it's cooled down. When that glass cools down, it will be crystal clear. Helen, are you making the headband?
Making the mouth, I think.
Oh, that's the mouth. Okay, so Helen is making a gargantuan bit here. That's a 3-gather bit. That bit alone weighs maybe 4 pounds. She's rolling it through some crushed up colored glass called frit. I think it's just black. It's black frit. So this bit will have a speckling, a peppering of black glass spots on it. And Helen is marvering that into shape. So we call it marvering when we roll in shape on these big steel slabs. Another ancient tool. The most modern tool we have here is the bench that Jamex is sitting at, the Scagno, the gaffer's bench. And ancient glass blowers would just roll the glass back and forth on their lap. They'd put leather straps on there, wooden straps, and they would just go on and roll it on there. We wouldn't want to do that with a piece of this scale, though. Another big difference between now and in ancient times, the furnaces are much bigger. But here we are. Here comes the eye. The eye of the mandala. Very nice. Very nice. And they use this, this is an oxypropane torch. Do we need new oxygen? All right, so we use the hot torch. Jamex is smoothing that in with a graphite paddle. Do we have a question from the internet? What is our... Okay. Tom, how many gathers is that bubble? Is that 6? So it's the base? 5 gathers. It's 5 gathers. It's 5 gathers, and it's really thick. I think it's maybe a ½ inch thick at its average. Yep. And it weighs maybe just under 20 pounds, the bubble. But we have a lot of things we're adding to it, so it's going to get exponentially heavier. And luckily, we have Michael and Tom and Katie and Helen here to help share the burden. And if they need me to, you guys can definitely just let me know. So here goes. This is actually the bit for the mouth. It looks similar to the eye, and everything looks like a blob at first. But then Jamex will use the tools. He keeps the tools in a big pile on the tool rest here. Every single tool in the shop is sitting there next to him. And then he fishes around for which one he wants. And then he finds it, and then he shapes. And then this piece will magically become the mouth. So it looks like a ball, just a big ball, like a softball of glass. And in a couple minutes, it becomes a mouth. Yes? Okay. So he wants me to torch the back end. He wants me to torch the moil. So we're just keeping everything nice and toasty the whole time. And I want to keep this under his armpit here. He's using a tool called the taglio. It's almost like a butcher knife, and he can just push into the glass. It's a stainless steel blade, not too sharp. And he's putting a lot of force on it. He's really pushing that glass hard. The glass we're using here is a fairly stiff glass. And he's really pushing it into shape. Do you dump any powder in there like yesterday or no? Do you know what color?
Yeah,
Black powder? Do we have black powder? Tom, are you getting the color for the mouth? Purple, okay. I don't know where we're keeping the purple. I think it's over here. So there's a lot of details. So there's certain things that we're not set up just yet for. This is a one-of-a-kind piece. Did you find it, Tom? No. Oh, okay. Okay, powder to the left on the marber. So I'm going to need a tray.
This one?
No, here, this part. Yeah. Nope, nope. He wants to dump it in there, Tom. He'll torch it and dump it in. He wants a bit? Oh. Okay. That's different.
He's gonna come over to this white.
Said it's purple and then encase it in clear.
Very good. Okay. So we made something like this yesterday, and they did it just a little bit different. Did you want to dump any in there? You do? Okay. The purple? I can't find black powder. Oh, the frit? Okay. All right, so I'm going to grab this. He wants the black frit. And I'm guessing we probably don't want to pour this out of this. It'll melt it. Okay. You just want to put it on there? Okay. All right, so I'm just dumping some out on the graphite tagliole. Just say when. And he's going to just, so frit is almost, it's like the consistency of kosher salt. It's like little chips. It's crushed up glass, and he's going to heat the inside of the mouth there. So that is the mouth. It looks almost like a Gumby type character at this point, but as they add the details, you start to see all the really cool elements come out. Huh? Yes, it's like feeding. So he's feeding the lips, the frit, and what a cool way to add the color. Oops. Yeah. So some of it spilled out, but most of it stuck. So it's a great way to add color in a specific spot. He used a hot torch, oxy propane torch. We call it an 8x8. It's got 8 orifices by 8 orifices, and that gives us a flame that, with oxygen applied, will get to about 3,500 degrees. So it instantly liquefies the surface of the glass. We can stick things to it. We can stick glass to it. So here comes the second eye. Again, it has a luchador mask in it. And these guys, they can work together. So Jamex sees one perspective, Einar sees another. And that really comes out in the glass working, too. They have their own perspectives that they bring to a singular sort of work of art. And you just saw that kind of working there so that they could place that eye exactly where it should go for the vision that they share for this piece. So same process as the first eye that was applied. And I think there's something like 5 additional luchador masks that are going to be attached to this. They're going to put a nose on. I haven't seen the drawing for this one. All right, so here comes additional bits for the mouth. So these are the luchador lips. That bit pours off like a snake. Tom brought some extra glass. And you see he uses the tagliole just to sculpt everything into place. Can I get under here? Actually, hang on a second. Don't go anywhere. Moil's cracking. All right, so the eyes are applied. The mouth is being sculpted currently. And Einar is making the eyelids. Eyelid number 1. All right, so this is getting intense. This is getting intense. It's taking every one of us helping out here. It's a long piece, so we have to make sure that that moil stays hot. So Jamex is going to be working over top of a torch occasionally here, which makes it a little sketchy, but it is kind of a standard practice. As glassmakers, we're used to being around the fire, around the heat, and we just know where we touch, where not, where to be, and where not to be. So that's how we stay safe, is through experience in situations like that. Oops. Tools are flying everywhere. So we've got the luchador eyes on this. What do you call this piece, this part of the mandala? It's the center of the Aztec calendar. Is there a name for it?
Yeah, it's the fifth sun.
The fifth sun. Okay, so this would be kind of a version of the fifth sun. So the installation, or the sculpture that they're creating, the mandala, is very reminiscent of the Aztec calendar. Just, yeah. Here comes the second eyelid. So the centerpiece for the Aztec calendar is called the fifth sun. And this is reminiscent of that as part of the design of the mandala that these guys are making for our contemporary art and design wing here at the Corning Museum. All right, so Helen has just asked me to turn up an oven that we've been loading the luchador masks into throughout the day. I think we made maybe 8 of them. Maybe we'll only use 5 of them for this piece. So we want to get those up to 1,000. They've been sitting at about 900 degrees all day. Well, not all of them. As we went from the first one to the last one, they've been sitting there. And now we're boosting the temperature up because we're getting closer to the point where we're going to be adding some of those. That'll be in the next 30 minutes or so. So we've ramped the temperature up. And for those of you here in the amphitheater, you can see it's just a black box here. And it's made of fire brick, and it holds the heat in. Hi, Reese. Do we have a question? Okay. Why does it have to get heated by the torch and then go into the oven? Good question. So the torch gives the back slope extra heat. So when we go into the furnace, when we go into the reheating oven, the curve that goes towards the blowpipe does not get as much radiant heat. So we have to supplement that with the torch. And the key is we want to keep everything over 1,000 degrees. And we noticed that the moil, or the glass that's still attached to the iron pipe or the steel pipe, was starting to crack. And that is waste glass. It's fine that it's cracking, but it's an indicator to a glass blower that we need to put more heat there, because eventually those cracks might go into the actual piece, and that would be a real problem. We don't want that to happen. So that's what that torch is for. It's to put some extra heat in the back. We have a couple different types of torches too. And right now you can see, if Alexis zooms out just a little, you can see there's we call that the fluffy torch. That's basically, it's like a weed burner or ice melter. That gets to about 1,800 degrees. And then we have another torch that really hisses. You can hear the hiss. Shh. That one is an oxypropane torch, which gets to about 3,500 degrees at its tip. It has oxygen too, and that gives the flame a lot of velocity and heat. So we can apply heat to specific areas and then change the shape very rapidly. So every torch has a purpose. A good analogy is, like chopping wood, or I don't know. The main furnace there, the reheating furnace, is kind of like the cleaver, the meat cleaver, and then the torches are more like the scalpel. It's kind of fine. So here we go. They're laying bits on, and Jamex is using just a copper tube to impress little, almost like rivet-looking dots there. So adding some texture to the fifth sun piece, the centerpiece for their mandala. And this it's not a huge piece of glass, but it's a big piece of glass, and the glass is quite thick because they're really pushing and sculpting this and adding a lot of heavy bits. So they don't want a thin, wimpy bubble. It has to be a durable bubble. So I think the thinnest part of that is probably a ½ inch. All right. Okay, let's get a flash. No flash. Here comes the eyelid. Number 4, the lower eyelid there. Now you see Katie reaching in there with a wooden paddle. So she reaches in there, protecting Jamex's his hand. He's got a glove on there, but that is a big piece. So tooling around on there puts out a lot of radiant heat. You can feel that through the glove after a certain point. So Michael is proactively flashing the piece. He's keeping aware of the temperature. He wants to keep it over 1,000 degrees. That's one of the main jobs that he has is the lifter here, the carry, or the turning job that he has right now. He's turning the pipe and holding it so that Jamex can do his sculpting. He can focus on the moves he's going to do next. So while Michael takes the reheat that Jamex has asked for, he can be thinking about what he's going to do while he has the heat. You have a very limited window of time to shape the glass before it really freezes into its final form, and it's very difficult to continue shaping. The last bit we applied is always the hottest, so you don't usually put a bit on there and then come back to it later. Everything has to be done in a specific order. So I'm guessing, is somebody making the nose now or no? Okay. Einar is making the nose. Tom's making the tongue. Everybody has they've got a job going. So I've seen them make some of their masks before. The luchador mask is similar to this one. The exhibit, Collidoscope, that will be here this year at the museum, is just coming together. Our exhibits team and the curators are busily at work getting that all ready for their opening next week. It's going to open to the public on Saturday the 18th. The members only opening is on the 17th. So if you're going to that, you should have registered by now. Hopefully you've done that. It's going to be a great time. But definitely make sure to check out this show. Here comes the tongue. So it's really liquidy. It's like Gene Simmons. So a lot of their kind of vernacular of iconography, their language of imagery and things comes from their mixed heritage, their cultural heritage. You know, they're Mexican. They moved from Guadalajara to San Diego, and what a culture shock that must have been. But definitely you can see a lot of very cool imagery in their work. And I was very fortunate to have a little sneak peek at the exhibition today. And I heard the brothers talking about some of their different pieces and, you know, how some of them have little snapshots of, you know, things they experienced as part of their challenging and interesting experience as Mexican Americans, and you know, living and working in two very vastly different places culturally that aren't too terribly far apart geographically. So here in this piece, again, they're referencing the Aztec calendar, and they mention that this centerpiece is called the fifth sun. in the Aztec calendar. In their mandala, it might have a different name though. It kind of might call it something else. But so here we go. Again, we always have to keep everything nice and hot, over 1,000 degrees. We see things coming together here. The tongue is out. It's definitely starting to take on some of those attributes that you see in some of those Aztec sculptures and relief sculptures. So this is the nose. Looks like he needs some blackhead treatment. The shears they use to clip those bits on, those are called diamond shears. And that's because the blade closes in a diamond shape, so it can kind of cinch down that bit and then cut it into a point. So it's ideal for something like a nose. You know, you get the kind of point comes very naturally. We have other shears that we can cut the glass with. Some are more like regular scissors with straight blades. We have some that kind of curve out. We call those duck bills. So usually we're referencing the shape of the blade of our shears. How are we doing on questions? Anybody in our audience here at the museum? Do you guys have any questions? So these guys are using a lot of brilliant colors. This is something you can't see in the hot working process, unfortunately. You can't see the actual colors as they will be when they're cool. You know, just like a painting is when you paint paints, oil painting or something, it's not the finished color when the paint is wet. When you're working it, it's not quite there. It dries down. And it's kind of the same for glass, but it's the heat energy that will distort the colors. It's a form of radiation within the glass because of so much heat. It just causes that color distortion. Anything's going to glow orange. So you can always kind of think of adding orange to a color. And that's what your colors look like. So you have to know what colored glass you're using when you're working with it. Because as soon as it gets over 1,000 degrees or so, it doesn't look like its actual color. Do you guys have any questions? Yes, sir. What's your question? Say again? Why does it hide the color? Anything that gets around 2,000 degrees is going to glow orange. And then as it drops, that'll drop off to like a cherry red down around 1,200 degrees. And then below that, it just kind of like the glass reds will look brown. You know, the greens aren't quite right. every color is a little distorted because of the heat. You know, just like when a blacksmith puts an iron in the fire, it's going to be glowing orange. It doesn't look black, right? Then he pounds on it, cools down, and then it slowly goes to cherry red, and then it's back to black as it cools down. But when we finish, you know, if we leave it just sitting out in the open air, it's going to cool down, and you'll eventually see the color, but it'll break. So we have to put it into an oven to cool it very slowly in a process called annealing. So annealing is a slow cooling. It takes the stress out of the glass that would cause it to break. This piece is going to have a lot of stress in it. It's very thick. There's thin areas. There's a lot of additive bits. So we'll put this into the oven, and it won't come out for a couple days. We'll slow it down. We'll slow that cooling to maybe like 50 degrees an hour, 70 degrees per hour. So it'll slowly crawl down to room temperature, ensuring that it won't break. So, but some of the colors, I mean, here you see this brilliant red. They're using some of this. You'll never see that while it's hot. It'll look brown, like a livery brown. Great question, though. Great question. Anybody else? Any other questions? Yeah. Do they start out with a drawing first? Yes. Yes, they do. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, kind of. Is the drawing around? So do they start out with a drawing? Yes. This is the sketch of this piece.
There's another one on I think the first page also, on the other side.
So you had, yeah, the luchadors too. So they made little faces that they made sketches of, and then they have, and those of you here are definitely welcome to. Yeah, certainly. So this is one from the other day, similar. They made this yesterday. And then this is the one they're working on now.
That's what they're making?
Yes. Yep, that's what that is. So you see the tongue and the nose. So this is the drawing.
Are these the masks that have already been made that they're going to
Yeah, those are the masks that have already been made. And they're going up in temperature. They're getting up to 1,100 degrees. And at that temperature, we can pick them up and stick them on that main bubble. So we spent all morning making these little faces.
So, like, how big are these in relationship to this big one?
They're about like this. They're, you know, maybe 5 or 6 inches tall.
When it's all done, how
Yeah, it'll probably be about 30 pounds when it's all said and done. That's why Tom has big muscles on his arms, so he can do things like that. So maybe I'd like to show our viewers online the drawing too. Can we show them that? Is that a possible thing? So just since I was answering a question about the drawing, maybe we could just. There we go. So you see these are the luchador masks that are heating up in an oven. You can see the tongue down here and the nose. So everything's coming together. And it's really important with a piece like this to have a plan, to have a drawing. And these guys know. They've got 2 full careers of experience to know you really need a plan going into this. And we've been working on it all day. So everything's kind of laid out, and we've discussed it a lot. And there's a lot of communication before we start and as we're working. So the drawing is kind of fundamental to that. So you can use that as a kind of guidepost to look at, like a map, like a road map. And then you can use that because you can see, if you're sitting here or if you're seeing us online, that we've got these furnaces burning in the background. They're burning natural gas. They're burning forced air. And that costs money. All of the color glass that we use costs a lot of money. It takes money, time, and resources to make glass. And so this is a really special opportunity for the De La Torre brothers. And it's a great opportunity for our team to work with these guys and learn from them, learn their style, learn about how they do things. Because they definitely have a unique style that is really cool and very effective at expressing ideas. So I see them pulling from, the Venetian tradition and the Mexican glass-making tradition, and even, of course, the American glass tradition, studio art glass tradition. and they just have all these little techniques up their sleeves that we're seeing and learning as we're working with them. And that's really a beauty of things like this is, they're seeing cool stuff. They're picking stuff up from us, and we're picking stuff up from them. And Tom gets a nice workout. So here we go. They just put the headband on. Of course, the fifth son needs a headband. He's a bit of a luchador, too. This is very similar to how they made the smaller luchador masks. All right, Katie's coming over with the next bit. So their process is additive, both in the hot shop, but also in the studio and in their artistic practice. There's a lot of layering of sculptures, layering of imagery. You have two perspectives, as I mentioned before, both in the hot shop, but also in a kind of life perspective that you apply to your art. And they each bring these images, they each bring these kind of icons from their own lives and their own experiences into the picture. And again, definitely make a point to come up here to the museum this summer and check that exhibition out. It's Collidoscope, a retro-perspective. It's a great way to learn about the Della Torre brothers if you've not seen their art before, because you'll see a good snippet of their storied career in glass. A lot of really cool pieces, many very large pieces too. You can see it here in our beautiful contemporary art and design wing here at the Corning Museum of Glass, just adjacent to our amphitheater hot shop. We host artists from all over the world here at the Corning Museum. We have an incredible teaching facility right across the parking lot called the Studio, which is expanding and growing as we speak. And we get artists from all over the world here. We're really fortunate to see an incredible lineup of artists every year. So here they're putting the ears on. Maybe these are the ears. I don't know. This is hair. This is hair. So it's a pretty symmetrical piece. Maybe you've noticed that by now if you've been watching for a while. If they do, aside from the nose, if they do something to one side of the face, they do it to the other side of the face, just like a human's face, right? And you definitely can get a feel for their artwork just by looking at the process in the hot shop. That layering process. If you started with us when we just began, you saw how simplified the face was. It just had lips on it and eyes. It looked very simplistic. And now the complexity is growing. It's growing. You're getting this, the Baroque, as they describe, the Mexican Baroque. If you want to know more about the Della Torre brothers' artwork, make sure to check out their website, www.dellatorrebrothers.art. And you can learn more about their careers, learn more about their art, see images of different series of work they have. You can also check them out on Instagram. A lot of cool images there at Della Torre Bros. So make sure to check out some of that supplemental information. right, so everything's so far so good. Again, we made something similar to this yesterday, so we have a little bit of practice in. Some of the moves are familiar. And so it looks like another bit is coming together. Einar has just gathered up some glass from our small color furnace. We have a nice purple glass in there that Jesse, our tech, made. Purple has manganese in it, has a little cobalt in it. And it makes a nice purple glass. We just use our scrap glass for that. Einar, what piece are you making? Is this the more hair? Okay, so they're layering on some more, some hair. That's those side bits. What do you need? A volume. All right, so more bit work. A lot of additive bits. We've been having just a little bit of trouble because they love the bright colors. Orange, yellows. The base glass we have is a little finicky with some of these colors. And so we have to be careful. We have to keep things pretty hot because I think we're pushing the glass. We're asking a lot of it, of this particular system of glass. So here we go. Here comes a big bit. Now remember, if you've been here for the entire time, I mentioned that we have been working all day on other small masks, the luchador masks. Those are sitting in an oven. There's 5 of them that are going to be added to this piece. So along with all of this bit work is going to be more elements, more sculptural elements that were made before. So all in all, this piece has lots of hours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Myself, I was working on it before. So yeah, 7 people all day long. And the last thing we would want is for this piece to break. So when we put this away in our slow cooling oven, our annealing oven, we're going to have this cooling down for a long time. Maybe 35 hours or something. How are we doing on questions? Are there any online questions, you guys? No? For those of you just joining us here in the amphitheater and online, we've got the Torre Brothers here. They're coming to us from California, also Mexico. These guys have been working with glass since the early 1990s. They Both went to art school in California, and they started collaborating on their own artwork, or on collaborative artwork, in the 90s and focusing on glass. And something maybe all of us remember from the 90s, who grew up in the 90s, is Lollapalooza. And if you ever went to one of those concerts or saw imagery around those concerts, maybe Jane's Addiction, I think we saw some of their artwork represented there. And one of those pieces that toured with the Lollapalooza show is here on exhibit at the Corning Museum as part of the Collidoscope exhibition that's going on here starting next week. Next Saturday is opening to the public. So make sure to get down here. Take a trip to Corning. Come on back. Check it out. Collidoscope. It is a retrospective show called a Retro-Perspective. We've got two perspectives, Einar and Jamex de la Torre. You can see an incredible layered Mexican Baroque style that they bring to glass art and multimedia. Their influences range from religious iconography to German expressionism, and again, paying homage to Mexican vernacular and arts, and also pre-Columbian art. So you definitely can see that in this form that they're creating right now. It looks like it's from, almost like from a temple ruin. So, what's up? You need another hand, yeah?
Yeah, I think maybe the first hand could be picked up.
Okay. All right, so we are now going to start to pick up the luchador masks and stick them on the piece. So I'm going to pick up the first one here. I'm going to help out. I can give you the play-by-play while I'm working. So I'm just going to prepare an iron. This is going to be a handle that I can grab the piece out of the oven with. The piece is sitting in there at 1,000 degrees, so I'm not going to grab it with my hands. I need a long stick to do it. And here is my punty rod. Stainless steel rod, a little bit of glass on the end. I'm going to heat the very tip of it so I can pick up that mask. So I'm going to pick this up after Tom takes one more flash, so that I can just follow him in. And yeah. So I'll just, because I want to pass by, I don't want to walk all the way over here. I'll go in there and then I'll come over here. Is that okay? You getting the door, Katie? All right. So Katie's going to open the door to the oven. All is well. Just going to flash it. All right, so the first mask is up into the heat. And we can count our lucky stars. It didn't break.
This time or what this time?
Yeah, next time. Yeah. Yeah. Real hot. Orange. Yes. You want to get the torch? Go ahead. Go. Doing it this time? Okay, so we'll torch the back a little bit too. This time.
They're switched on me.
Okay. Am I gonna bonk this into your hands? It's pretty soft. I'll bring it over there. Yeah. And there's a luchador mask. Numero uno. Okay. Okay. Weird gap. All right, this is coming together. Always back to the heat. Okay, the next one is.
The one's looking down.
This one's looking down.
Yeah, and one of these two.
Okay, which one do you want?
The one on the right.
Okay. On the right behind you, Tom. All right, so I'm gonna help out again. Pick up the next luchador mask. I'm not sure where this one will go, but I'm just going to get it hot. And then these guys, I'll put it right where it's supposed to go. So they're taking their hot torch, the 8x8 oxypropane torch, and they're superheating the surface of the glass where they want to put the additive bits. They're also melting in the last connection that they made. Everything kind of has to be superheated. It helps to weld things together. Behind you? So the trick is to get these hot, keep them hot, down and to the left a little. Okay, mask number 2. Looking down. All right, here comes number 3. Now, each one of these masks, okay, each one of the masks have their eyes pointed in a direction. They want it pointed kind of at the center of the face. So they're all looking in the fifth son's eyes. So I'm just going to help out here. I'll get to your questions here in just a little bit. Once we get these attached, just going to take the whole team here for this next few set of moves to get everything assembled. Getting pretty complex now, I would say. All right. So Tom's letting the team know, because as you know, we have to keep it hot enough. The whole thing is kind of sagging as we're working with it. It sags off center. So he's going to let them know when to flip and flop it.
So forget about these two. It's going to be the ones on the, let's do the right one, the one up the right.
Okay. So I think we got 2 more to go. 2 more luchador masks. And they're all looking into the center of the mandala. All started with a little glass bubble. And again, this is just one small element of a monumental glass sculpture that's going to be displayed here at the Corning Museum of Glass in our Contemporary Art and Design wing. It's going to be a 12-foot diameter mandala that's loosely based on the Aztec calendar for them. Has pre-Columbian kind of imagery combined with some imagery of their own life experiences as artists who've immigrated from Mexico to California. Here we go. I'm going to have to skip the flash. Risky business. If you're okay, I'm okay. What could possibly go wrong? Well, I don't want to talk about that. Einar asked me what could possibly go wrong. And I could immediately think of about 14 or 15 different things that could go wrong at this minute. But we're just going to focus on everything working out here, and then it will. So we've got one more luchador mask. You could get a nice shot of those, Alexis. Could you show them the drawings of the masks that they were making? No? Okay. Getting close to the finish here. Yeah. Okay. Do it. Sure. All right. Is it? Here comes Katie. She's got another spare part. spare part. Yep, I get it. So they made a little sculpted heart with all the arteries on it and everything. The aorta, ventricles. That's getting attached. I'm not sure exactly where that goes on the piece.
Jason has a shot later on.
Oh, he does? Okay. Oh, yeah. There we go. Yeah, so there was a drawing there of the luchadors. So yeah, these guys, they drew every little element of the piece as they were going. All the luchador masks, there was some improvisation, but for each one they kind of had a general plan. Of course, the heart is an image and a piece that they've worked with many, many times. So there's a great image of some of the doodles they've made, some of the thumbnail sketches in their sketch journals that are now laying all over our shop, which is great because it gives us a little glimpse into what they're thinking about. So we can get things set and prepared for them, help them to be efficient in their time here. And that they can really enjoy creating this work of art. Again, it's a 12-foot diameter mandala that's going to be installed in our contemporary art and design wing here at the Corning Museum of Glass. And this is the very centerpiece. So we're really thrilled to be able to broadcast this in a live stream. Here comes the heart. Every fifth son needs a heart beating. Definitely a strong symbol from pre-Columbian art. Very, very integral to keeping the sun in the sky is the sacrifice of a human heart in those days. So kind of powerful iconography. Which annealer? So we're going to be loading into that annealer over there with the steps in front of it. So the heart is on the tongue. So Einar is just kind of supporting the weight of the piece, while Jamex is pushing on and adjusting the positioning of that final element there, the heart sculpture. So this is really multiple sculptures, multiple relief sculptures, kind of layered on top of this main bubble that's become the face of the fifth son. Now you can see in our reheater there, you can see the flame hitting the piece. It comes in from one side. Tom's got to keep everything balanced by flipping it back and forth. It's going to sag off center. He sags it back on center. And here they're doing some adjustments. They can push on the bubble and just seat that heart where they want it. It's kind of suspended between the tongue and the nose. just feeding heat into specific areas now at this point. So we're getting close to the finale. I think some final adjustments. I don't know if they have anything else they're adding. They're just getting things to the right shape after all this pushing and pulling. They're getting things symmetrically lined up, mushing it one way or the other, just getting it just right. And then they're just kind of what we call flashing down. Since we have all of these different parts connected to this main bubble, we really need to stabilize, homogenize the temperature of the entire piece before it goes away into the oven. So that takes a series of reheats. You know, it looks like they're still fixing things though, moving things back to where they need to go. And again, the De La Torres have an exhibition. Is it all set? All right, they've got an exhibition coming up here at the Corning Museum of Glass. It's called Collidoscope, encompassing almost 3 decades of work in 40 mixed media glass sculptures. Collidoscope of the De La Torre Brothers Retro-Perspective highlights the breadth of the brothers' artistic production, the art of the De La Torre brothers, like the unique and ever-changing view through a kaleidoscope. So make sure to get to the Corning Museum of Glass, check it out this summer. I'm going to suit up. I'm going to load this piece into an oven. I get to help out. Jamex gave me the nod and handed me the gloves, so I'm going to do it. It's my duty. Yeah, no, I got it. What's that? No. I got it. The stairs might. Yeah, I do. Yep. So we've got our oven set up with some stairs. That way I can just climb up there and easily load this piece. It's probably about 30 pounds by now. Once it's off the blowpipe, though, it's actually not that bad of a deal. It's the heat that gets to you. So. I'm putting on fireman's jacket and some protective gear so that I can comfortably load this piece into our annealing oven, which sits at 966 degrees Fahrenheit. This piece will sit in that oven for the next couple of days, cooling down slowly, removing all the stress from the glass that could break it. So a couple last heats. It'll break it free from the pipe. Into the oven it'll go for its nice long rest. This is a lot of work. I better not drop this thing. So flashing down, they're taking the torches. They're hitting the torches on all the extremities. The extremities lose their temperature quickly. Once we're out of the furnace, they give up their heat quite quickly. And so you take the torches and you have to heat those extremities up. What are we doing? Is this break off time or what? Oh, this looks like it. Everybody's getting ready to break the thing off. I never put the fracks in the oven. And there we go. All right, into the oven it goes. Safe and sound. And we'll get that out of there in a couple of days. All right, that's a De La Torre Brothers. Beautiful piece, beautiful piece. Yeah. It's like a baked potato. All right, so that's going to do it for this demonstration. We're going to be back at it tomorrow here, working more, making some more components for this beautiful mandala tomorrow, and I hope you get a chance to see it at some point. It's going to be a great piece to pull out of the oven. Thanks for being here. Let's hear it one more time for the Brothers De La Torre.